So now we fast forward. We're just gonna fast forward now. We got I don't know how many seasons. We got 24 seasons, I think. We've got 3
Yeah,
episodes,
well,
right?
the
We're
first game
into
was
the
really
Edge of
what? How
Fate.
many years? It's like 3, 4 years, and Destiny 2 has been a decade, really.
2 years, I think, for Destiny
Yeah.
1. It came out in
Yeah, it was very
2014 to
brief. It was very
2016. It was
brief
very brief,
because
right?
they still had the whole agreement with Activision to put another game, and they were like, "All right, we're going
Ah,
to Destiny 2." Remember that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember
Activision. That's a bad word in the Destiny community. Well, not anymore. It used to be.
Not
We
anymore.
blamed
It used to be
Activision.
like, "Oh, Activision was ruining the game," and now we find out, "Oh, actually, Bungie was ruining the
Activision.
game."
So
Activision
now,
was like Microsoft, like, "Hey, can you guys make a product, please? Like, anytime in the next 6 months, 8 months. Oh, we're late. Can you make a product, please, please make." It's like Halo. That was the whole thing with Bungie. Remember Bungie and Halo? They constantly got pushed. They were basically not dragging their feet. It's just they had so many ideas, and then they finally had to coalesce them all down and make a functional product. And Microsoft's going, "Hey, when is this coming out?"
yeah, exactly. I would appreciate some of that Activision money nowadays, though. But best of, worst of. So
Okay,
for this
yeah.
part, I want to talk about what is the best thing you liked about the game now. We're not even going to say back then. We're going to say now. We're going to do top 3 seasons, all right? And then we're going to do the worst 3 seasons. Now, I'm gonna jump on it first because
Yeah, you lead it. I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
I got mine already lined up. So, and it's funny because those seasons line up and they're all from the same DLC, which to me is my
Yeah,
favorite DLC.
kind of really
Which
seals the deal. You
yeah,
kind of know where the
there's
favorites are there at that point.
yeah. Now I think for most people, if they had like if you force them to pick a top 3 as far as DLCs, they'll do Taken King, right? That's always up there. They'll do
Always a big one. Yep.
Forsaken, right?
Great live
They'll do
action commercial
Forsaken.
for Taken King too. Great live
Oh
action
yeah,
commercial.
it was dope. And then they'll do the Witch Queen. Those
Yeah.
3 are for people, peak for them, and then it'll rotate 1, 2, and 3 depending on who you talk to. For me, Forsaken, hands down, best DLC. And then within that, you had Season of the Outlaw, you had Season of the Forge, and Season of the Drifter. Now, Season of the Outlaw is a weird one for me because it's you don't really pay attention to the first season that comes out with the DLC.
Yeah,
You
you're
just
playing the
consider that
expansion content,
yeah,
right?
you're
You're
playing the
unlocking,
expansion,
you're
right?
unlocking the Tangled Shore. You're unlocking the Dreaming City.
Right.
That little hidden drop. So
Yep.
cool. They did
Yep.
that perfectly, right? You're figuring out. Is that when we found out about a ribbon? Did we find out a ribbon in the
Mm,
first season?
I believe so. I believe so. I'm blank on it. Like I said, it's been 10 years. So let me amend that. So for me, it's Season of the Forge. Right now, the Forge that was the Black Armory. That was the Black Armory weaponry. That was the black and red color schemes to the
Yep.
weapons.
801. That's the
Dope.
chick. That's the chick's name. 801.
801, right? Yep, she was our vendor for that season. That was we had to unlock these forges because that's
Yeah,
where all those
unlock the
weapons were
forges.
made,
What were
right?
the? Okay, you had what? Was it Izanami? What were the
Oh,
forges?
Izanagi. Well, Izanagi's burden was the
Izanagi.
was the
Yep,
was the
because
sniper
they have
rifle.
the beam because you still have the cannon that thing is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. You're asking a lot for
Uh,
me to remember these other forges,
I
though.
know. I'm trying to remember because they had like what? It was 3 or 4, right?
It was 4. I think the last one it had like an African name, but you had to. It was a community unlock, right? We had to do
Yeah,
something,
that's right.
figure out a
That's right.
puzzle, and let's be real, there was just a group of streamers who figured it out for the whole community. And they unlocked it and it was all good. But I liked the content. Like we look at it now with everything, the mechanics, and we kind of get tired of it. But throwing the balls, the orbs into the thing to get the
It
forge
was
to
something. It was
it was
something,
something,
right?
man. I thought it
And
was
remember,
different at that time.
and remember they had the upgrades for the guns. They like before they. Yeah, I'm not talking about shaders. They had the and what again? It's not chroma. They had the little actual damage upgrades for the guns. Like I still have one of the hand cannons, and it's like
Yeah.
it was one of the like kind of like the masterwork before the masterwork. You'd find this,
Yes.
and you could just drop it on a gun.
Yep. That was it. That was it. Now, Season of the Drifter, this might be my favorite season. Season of the Drifter, I know this is a spicy take,
Yeah,
was
this is
Gambit.
gonna be a controversial position.
Gambit got introduced. And let me tell you, for somebody who does not like PvP, right? I played it. I was respectable at it. I think my KD was like 1.3. I was respectable. But Season of the Drifter and Gambit, it introduced something for us non-PvP players where we could enjoy PvE, but have a little bit of PvP sprinkled in on top with the invader coming in. I always also felt that gear we should have gear sets in Destiny, and this is their
That are just
first time
specifically for
jumping
opportunity. Yeah, for certain
right. And
things.
this is
Yeah.
the
Okay.
first time they jumped in and they kind of dipped their toe into the gear set
Yeah, their invader set. What is
paradigm.
it? Yeah, yeah. They had
The
the invader
collector
set
set.
basically. Yeah,
Yep.
if you're a collector, they had essentially had like some kind of
They had
defender
four
set.
sets. They had
Yeah, it was
yeah,
four. It was like a
yeah.
green, yellow, red for the invader. Oh, what was the white? There was like a white set, I
I
swear.
think white was the collector. So if you were a collector, you could hold like 30 motes instead of 15, right? You can hold more motes.
That's
And the
right. And you
more
had the
pieces
defender. There
of
was like a
gear,
defender set as well,
yep.
right?
The
Yep.
more pieces of gear, one set you could identify the invader when they came in, right? You could
Yes. Oh, I
point them
feel
out.
like that was like the defender, maybe the yellow one.
It might have
Yeah.
been. Like I said, it's been so long. But that to me, and the more pieces of gear you put on, the more perks you got within
Yep.
that set. That was great to me, right? And then on top of that, you had the reckoning. The Reckoning was where you got that gear from. That was the content where you went to some realm the Nine had built. You start out in there, you have to get a certain amount of kills before the time winds down. You go to the next section, there's a long bridge. That's where the Warlock
Yeah,
Well
it's a massive
reign
horde mode.
supreme.
That people don't remember that, right? It's just that massive horde mode. You're constantly getting rushed 24/7 by the Taken. Yeah, like yeah, that's because that isn't that when they dropped Well too, where Well was dropped around this time. I want
Yeah.
to say like they added the new supers and people are just welling across basically everywhere. Every fight you get into, there's a well somewhere in the fight.
Yeah, Bungie actually talked about it. They said we got to a point where we had to design for the well. They made the well too powerful,
Yeah, it was
and
so
they
good,
were making it
so good.
to the point where you couldn't do that content without the well. But you had the Reckoning, right? And then Season of Opulence, my favorite 6-man activity ever in the history of Destiny
Menagerie.
was Menagerie. Yes, that was. It's a shame and it's a crime that 6-man activity has not made a comeback yet, and they haven't
Yeah,
tried to do anything similar to it. You were like in this big box where every
yeah,
room was a
yeah. You
different.
were in the Leviathan, right? And they hadn't been back to the Leviathan really since. Oh my God, since Destiny, because Destiny, the Leviathan was the first raid in Destiny 2, right?
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe so. I
And then at
believe
some
so.
point, when did the Spire of Stars come out? Spire of Stars came out a little bit after that, right?
You see, you asking
Right?
me to parse the brain, but with the Menagerie though, not so much that it was in the Leviathan, it was like 9 different activities in one. That's what I appreciate
Yeah.
about it.
And well, and it was,
Every
and you
room.
could get cycle through like four each time, right? It was like four
Right.
or five each time. Yeah. It's always a
That's
little bit
right.
different.
Yeah, so everything
You had
was a
to,
little bit
new
different. It
tricks,
was great.
yeah.
Yep. Now, Forsaken, of course, to me is let's talk about the content that got introduced in Forsaken. You had the new enemy type, the Scorn, right? We're always complaining about we don't have new enemy types in the game. Nothing is original. That was, I think, the most legit new enemy type that they didn't just remix an enemy or add like some sort of visual corrosion and say that's a new enemy, or they just didn't take one type of enemy and add it to the faction and say that's a new. No, they added a whole new group. You had the Last Wish raid, still one of the best raids in
Oh,
Destiny,
still
one of the most
so good.
legendary
So
raids
good.
in Destiny. You had the Shattered Throne, a really good dungeon. We talked about the Tangled Shore, right? That's the
Yep.
social area you
Yep.
got dropped in. Tangled Shore was okay. I mean, it was kind of purple. It was really purple, actually. It was
Yeah,
okay.
it's all the meteors and stuff, and they're all it was a cool area aesthetically, and they had like they had some cool lost sectors because that's where they had the it's like the arcade lost sector, or is it no,
Yes,
yeah, it's
where
the
the music
clubhouse, it's the
played.
club lost
The,
sector. That's right. So they had
yeah,
that.
that wacky ass
Uh,
music. And
that's
then
right.
after
Yeah,
that,
just at the club. Yeah.
yeah, after that, then you didn't know it, but once you beat the campaign, they kept it a secret. And after you beat the Barons or
Dreaming
whoever
City,
killed
dude.
him, they took you
Yep.
to the Dreaming City, which to me is still one of the most creative
Oh, it's
social
just
zones.
it's like it's ethereal, right? Like they really
Yeah.
nailed it. Though the only thing they like I felt like they could have explained to people more what the Dream City actually was, what was going on there,
hmm
right? How you got there, what like they didn't they kind of packaged that back way in the lore, but yeah, as a location, just really really cool. Because think about it, when you like because you're talking about the art style, right? The art style of that one totally changed. That became basically high fantasy kind of living in Destiny.
Right.
Essentially, is what was going on there.
Yep. So Forsaken, I'm sure I'm missing some things with that, but Forsaken just dropped so much content.
Yeah, you've hit
And
all the major beats.
the
Yeah,
story was straightforward. Don't get me wrong, I do like a complex story, but it has to be some simplicity to it. Forsaken, the starting cutscene, Cade gets murdered by the Barons, and now it's our job to go in there and get
That's
rid
right.
of it. It's a revenge
Your guy
story.
painfully slowly lifts up whatever gun he's doing, like he would ever carry that gun. The only mark up against that story is Uldren survives just because your guy's a little bit retarded. He's like, well, I'm holding my gun as like a little hip fire right now, no matter what gun, right? He doesn't come in like it's little nitpick. All they had to do is Cade gets clapped, right? He catches the round. Your guy comes in, guns blazing, and the doors just snap shut. And Aldrin's just sitting there. Yeah, what are you gonna do, bro? That's it. That's how they should have done it. Instead, your guy's like, he's like, he lifts the gun up, and then the doors close, and you're like, what were you doing? What were you doing before you walked into that room? We just killed a bunch of people, bro. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, that's the
It's for the
nitpick. All
drama.
right.
It's dramatic. Yeah, they had to have a
Yeah.
dramatic flair. So, what's your best of
Mm.
your top three
Okay.
seasons?
I'm gonna cross a little bit here with you, but
That's
I guess
fine.
when I really go back, like Warmind, because I really it's because like Opulence, Outlaw, these actually are again they're both great seasons. Warmind was really fun, mostly because obviously it didn't really come. It came with I think it came with an expansion. It came with basically whatever was going on Mars at the time with the Warmind stuff, but you had the escalation protocol. Escalation protocol was
Mm.
fantastic. Because at first everyone goes in, you try to three-man the activity. As an activity, it wasn't amazing, but it was just fun because it was, they were trying something new. They made this really, really difficult activity. First, you go in, you're trying to get through, you're trying to play the game properly. You got the three-man team, never works, right? You should never get through it. And everyone's like, hey guys, do you know you get 9 people in there? And everyone got 9 people in there. And then all of a sudden, we all got all the escalation protocol gear every week.
Well,
We
it
got it.
was a pain because no, because if I remember Escalation Protocol, it never zoned you into like a mission area. You were just in the zone. You were in
Yes, yeah, yep.
the social area. So you could only
Nobody
have
ever, no
nine
extra people
people.
didn't come in. Yep.
Right. So you could have 9 people in a social area, like on the planet of Mars. You could have 9 people. So that was the confusing part because there was no LFG, right? There was no looking for group. So
Well,
you had to do it with
you
the
had to
people
use
who were
you had to
there.
use the off-brand stuff. Well, you had to use there was like LFG websites, and that's what you do. You go to there and say, hey, looking for escalation protocol guy, or talk to one of your buddies, and then you would all load in, split off the fire team, and then just rip people in, right? And that was the trick, all right?
But
That was
that's
the
my
trick.
question. How this is my question, right? If you got 9 people, how do you get you can take six because six is a raid team. You can't invite nine though. So
Yeah, no, yeah. So
how
that's
did
what you
you
do.
get those
What
three
you did
extra
is
people?
you LFG'd into a group using one of the websites, and then you got all 9 people in a party. That's the first thing you did. Usually, I'm on Xbox Party, and so you go ahead and then you bounce them down to the planet, and I think
I'll
I'm
tell you
trying to
how I
remember
did.
what
I just
I'm
remembered.
trying to dude I think it was still a three-man activity cap because I don't think it would like I think you got I don't even think it would load in six. I think it would literally max you out on 3 players. And then what happened is you got the 9 people in the party, you sent 3 down, and then they split off from the fire team. But obviously, it kept you in the world. It kept
Yeah.
you in that lobby because remember, people could actually stumble into your escalation protocol. It did happen because
Well, what we would
you
do
could
is
still
we
have the
would hit up
nine,
the person
but
that was on the planet already. So you
that's
would
right.
get a
Yeah, you found
random, and then
exactly because they were always doing
I
it.
would contact
You'd say,
him and say,
hey,
"Hey,
that's right.
invite the rest of my team to the planet."
Yep,
That
that's right. You'd say, "Hey,
random,
man,
right?
do you want to join the escalation protocol run?" And the answer was, of
Yes.
course, "Yeah, bro. That's why do you think I'm here?" Right? And then yeah, and they just invite him in. So you either naturally did it, or I think you brought it in by fire team and you just inched people in. It was one because especially if you're in the same fire team, you had a better chance of like rolling into the area or in and out of an area. There was a trick to it. God, it's been so long, but that
Mhm.
was great. You had escalation protocol, and
That
then
was a good one. Yeah.
can't forget you had the whisper
Mm.
secret mission drop, right? Remember, we go
Yeah.
to IO. Everyone's going, "What's going on? Why is this random night on IO?" Start slaughtering. You do all this stuff. You get the secret mission. You just pop into the Whisper mission, and you're, "Oh crap, it's timed!" And you spend hours just getting murdered before and getting through each room. It's a strategy to get through each room, and
Hmm.
then you even get to the jumping puzzle. Lose 10 minutes on the jumping puzzle at first because nobody knows what the hell they're doing, and most people actually can't jump in Destiny, right? That's like a whole thing, right? They literally cannot jump. Like I had to take my buddy and get him through it. He's a hunter. Hunters still have the best jumps in the game. Okay, you can literally
Lies,
change direction. You can change
lies and
direction at
slander.
any time.
The best
But
jump in PvP, not the best jump in the game. No, for
dude, no,
PvE, Titans for
even
sure.
even. No, well, actually, PvE it's warlocks because we can literally turn off and like as long as we don't have to change too much altitude, you turn on strafe lift, I think is what it's called, and you can literally just change direction. You can literally float around like a little bumblebee. You can do whatever you want. So but of course, if you miss the jump, there's no getting altitude back, so you die.
That's
No,
my
but the
point.
yeah,
That's my
but
point. That's why I
the
say
hunter's great
Titans.
because it's a classic double jump. There's nothing to interpret. There's nothing to learn,
Right.
right? You just have to. The only trick with the hunter is you had to remember you extend the jump by, of course, jumping at either the apex of your height or just at the end of the jump. And a lot of guys didn't. To this day, most guys in Destiny can't jump. Right? They get to the jumping puzzle. They're like, how do I get up there? I got to put on triple jump. No, dude, you jump, you wait, and you jump again. Right? That's all you do. But yeah, you get through that, you get through all the rooms, and that was just a fantastic mission. Of course, then you got the Whisper because you had to get the Whisper done, and then I think they even had the hard mode unlocked like right away, right? Because oh yeah, because and then another part of the Whisper mission, you remember the room? You had like the 20 like vortexes, right? You come
Mm,
into the room, there's like a random
yeah.
sniper, and you're trying to figure out what vortex is the right one. You're just burning
Yeah.
time doing that the first time. Oh my
Yep.
god, it was great. It's just like what you're talking about. Nobody knew. Same
Hmm.
thing with the Whisper mission. Nobody knew about it. So that was awesome. And then I guess that's a big one. And then after that, I'm right there with you with the opulence. I think it was a fantastic season.
Hmm.
Um, 'Cause Leviathan. Look, Leviathan actually was. It came out. Everyone had the really, really bad kind of feeling about Destiny 2 when it first launched because they had the dual primary stuff, and it made even when they dropped the raid, you're trying to dual primary, and people were using like Cold Heart, which is like a DLC only weapon or like a pre-order only weapon and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of sucked, right? Like it wasn't that fun, but it was still a really cool raid. Like I went back and did Leviathan. I don't have too many clears on my account because you had that, same thing. You got to have all your little emblems to show all your little clears. Someone's got to look you up on raid report and be like, hey, this guy's good. He didn't just get carried through all these raids. He's not a complete idiot. He knows what he's doing. And that dude, the gauntlet broke people. Okay, I to this day remember this guy, this thick country accent, right? And I was like, look, dude, you just tell me like which arrow. Like I'm just gonna say, hey, it's one of these arrows. I don't remember the exact mechanics, right? But it's not complicated. And he was like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I was like, Jesus, I'm just gonna say this thing, and you shoot this, and then when you're
Hmm.
done shooting this, you just rotate, bro. You
Yeah.
just rotate, my brother. You just hop to the next line
Yeah.
and you shoot the next one because that
L-
was the trick, right? Like that was one of the techniques.
let
Great
me jump
raid,
in. Let me
right?
jump in on you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna interrupt you because
Okay.
you just reminded me of, so we both led raids, right? We both led
Yeah.
quite a bit of raids. We've been raid leaders, and there is something so unique. Now you don't see it anymore now, but I was willing to run new people through the raid, right? I
Yeah,
would say, hey,
absolutely. How
if
else are
you're
you going to get
new,
more guys in the community that know what they're
right.
doing?
Right. But my guild, my clan was more open to it because we had hated that kind of pretentious attitude
Of
that a
course.
lot of the
Yeah.
community
Of
was taking
course.
on, right? So we made it a point to say, hey, we will take on new players when we met them if they hadn't played a lot. As long as you're good people, we'll jump in. But let me tell
Yeah.
you, when you brought
Yeah.
somebody to a raid, man, it was like they were going for their first job interview. Like
Oh yeah,
they
dude.
were sitting
They're like,
there
what
and
am I doing? Like,
they
look,
were
bro, you
so
have a gun.
nervous. They were
Yeah, yeah,
so
exactly.
nervous.
What do I do, man? And it's like, yeah, exactly. They're getting
People would
so
lose
nervous,
their
like,
shit. They
uh,
would lose.
or like,
Yeah.
the funny part is even, that was the whole part of the whole like culture of Destiny. Even if you've been in a raid for a while, if you were the guy who did ad clear, you were practically dead weight some of these raids. You're like, dude, you actually have to know what you're doing. The guys you literally get to the raid, you literally get to like the encounter. Someone's like, I'm on ad clear. You're like, shut the hell up. No, you're
No,
doing
you're not.
something.
Yeah, you're doing
You're
something.
doing something, brother.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. You're throwing an orb. You're standing on a plate. You're doing something. Don't
Exactly.
pretend that you're gonna sneak through on an ad clear, right? Because that's you remember. You remember again. We'll jump ahead a little bit to the. Actually, we're jumping back to the Taken King, right?
Mhm.
Because you had the. Yeah, it was the Taken King raid. Oh, why can't I remember that? I don't remember its name right now. But the Taken King raid where you take out orcs.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? I don't. For
Now
I
you're giving
do.
me the mind virus. You're giving me
I
a mind
should
virus.
remember
They
what
brought
that
it
raid
back.
is.
They brought it
Yeah,
back.
yeah, exactly. They brought it back to, which is
Mhm.
that's why it's even more embarrassing. But you get to the part where you do the totems. There's no ad clear, bro. Everyone is rotating through the totem.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Unless
Yep.
I'm sure the streamers figured out a trick. Guys have like two-man those raids. Okay, but
Yeah.
everyone's rolling through those totems on a normal playthrough, and someone's like, "I'm ad clear," and you go, "No, dude, you're gonna be on a totem. You better know. You better know how to step onto the totem, kill things, and walk off the totem. Again, you're not even asking much, right? But these guys are,
Yeah, they
but
get
yeah, you had
nervous, man.
yeah,
They would get
yeah,
so
yeah,
nervous. I would talk to people and I'd be
yep,
like, look, people have two reactions in nervousness. They either run, which when you're out of control, or you just freeze up, right? Or they lash
Yeah.
out and they start
Yeah.
yelling at everybody. And I'm like,
Yep.
look, take it down a notch. But I loved it. That was the
That's part of
friction
the
that you
culture of it.
liked. Yeah,
It's
it
yeah,
was
yep.
great, man.
It's part of
It
the
was
fun. That's
it
right.
was
Dude,
it
to this
was
day,
it was the
my buddy's
best.
kid. Okay, so I play with him. He's a cool dude. When he was younger, we got to Orcs. This little shit popped a bubble on the final burn down of Orcs. He's dead, okay? All you gotta do is shoot him in the chest. He's dead. He pops a bubble in front of all of us and he wipes the raid.
Oh, oh.
I was like, I straight up, I was like, dude, I gotta leave.
Yeah, that'll
And I
ruin.
didn't play
Yep.
with him for like 6 months.
Yeah,
And
that'll
now,
ruin.
cool, we play together. But I was like, look, dude, can you understand? We spent like that. This is like one of the
Was it a
the first
mistake
times I
or
did
did
it.
he
Oh
Leroy
no,
it?
he did it on purpose.
Oh. Once again, I just want to point out the fact that all of those that we named are in a very tight window. They're in a very tight
You
window.
may notice a trend here.
Yeah,
There's good parts of Destiny and
and
everything
then
occurs
there's
within the good part, and there's nothing good happens for like 2 or 3 years or something
well.
like that.
In
Right?
saying
It's
that,
like,
okay, I'll give my worst stuff real quick. It's not going to be long. It's just all right. Curse of Osiris. That's an
yeah, of
honorable
course.
mention for the
Yeah.
bad end. Terrible. Everybody knows it. It was a terrible zone.
I
But
played through all Curse of Osiris. I have I
oh, I
did. I
did
never
too. I
stopped.
got the
Yeah.
weapons and yeah, unlocked
Yep.
all the weapons and stuff. And then for me though, if you want to say seasons, they weren't seasons, but the episodes. I felt, and we'll get into this in the next segment, but I felt that these episodes should have revolved around something else. I think it was Echoes, Revenant, and Heresy, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
just did
those are
not
only three
care.
right now at this
Yeah.
point, right? No, yeah, you had Echo. So
Well,
Echoes
I
was
think they're
Act
done with
One.
episodes. I think they're completely thrown that
I thought they were moving. I thought they were
out
moving on still with episodes, or no, they're moving. They're just changing it.
because we had
Am I out of the loop?
Renegades recently just now, which is not an
Yeah.
episode. That's
No,
just
well, they still have DLC, but then they like the episodes take over from the seasons. That was the whole idea. Unless they've changed the model again, which they could, because they did just go back on a bunch of stuff. They said, hey, we screwed up with a bunch of stuff, but I thought episodes were still staying. Episodes are like it's basically their seasonal content, right? Or am I
yeah.
am I
But
mixing those up too, dude?
once
I just
again,
I
I
didn't even
think
play.
they
I didn't play the
yeah.
newest
So
one.
so light the final shape is where they had episodes, right? The final shape
Yeah.
essentially was like, all right, we're done. And when they reset to Edge of Fate, I think they reset to a new yearly drop because they're not releasing as much content, right?
Yes, yeah, they slowed it
So
down to focus on marathon.
oh boy, yeah.
Anyway,
Well, let me because we're gonna jump to the next segment. So let me let you give yours. So I said those episodes for me were terrible. I'll get
yeah,
into
and
it more,
then
but
yeah,
what
last
was
one,
your?
last good one for me was
Mhm.
was Outlaw. I'm right there with you. The Swarm were sick. I mean, the Last Wish again. Like, hey, here's a controversial take. I never did anything but cheese ribbon. Sue me. Yeah, that's right. You showed up to the raid. You're like, hey, who wants to go? Who wants to legit ribbon? No, bro. I'm not. I'm not memorizing. Look, I already memorized the 30 different pictures. I'm not going and doing it again for looking at Ribbon's eyes and memorizing the numbers of eyes. No, no. I'm gonna cheese through the wall and kill her. And you know what? I did that a lot. I got Ribbon's Bane. Okay, suck
Hey,
it.
you
I
did
still
it.
got
You
Ribbon's
did
Bane,
it.
which
That
means I
wasn't
still
even
had
the
to go ahead
hardest.
and not. Yeah, the Ribbon's Bane was hard, dude. You had to
No, no,
not.
no.
There was.
I'm saying Riven's encounter, that final encounter, to me
Oh yeah,
wasn't the hardest. It was the the
yeah,
the, the bank or the area, the
yeah. Well,
four
yeah,
areas, and it
yep.
was you had
Where you
to
had to go on the
name
dial
this.
pad.
Yes, and you had to name the
Yep.
shapes, and then somebody else who had the corresponding shapes had to name it. It was ridiculous. I don't know how they came up with it, and I don't know how we figured it out. But that to me was the
Oh
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
mechanically
When
the most
someone
complicated.
figured it out, everyone's on YouTube just going, because that was Destiny was still so popular at that point. You just go on YouTube. Here's how you do the raid. You're sitting here taking. I was taking notes. I'm like, okay, here's the shapes: 69 fish, upside down fish, jumping
Yeah.
fish.
You mean
Diving
you didn't try to
eagle,
figure it out
walking
yourself?
bird. Right? Yeah. Well, you know what? In some of the raids, I think actually we did day one. I think we did, and I think we were watching. You're watching guys as they go along, right? Because you're trying to figure it out, and that's part. Unless you're going in blind, which is fun. Actually, going in blind is actually a lot of fun because especially once you've done a couple of raids, you do understand there's you understand there's something going on. You're just trying to piece it together. We did that with I think a couple of the newer raids, but we went in blind on Last Wish, and then we couldn't even get past the first room, dude. The first room where you're literally calling out symbols, you're all on your plates or whatever it is, you're killing things. Oh, again, I'd be pressed to call it to remember it now, but yes, we couldn't even get past the first room, and then after a couple days, it was out there. You can't unless you find a bunch of people that are like, oh, I'm still gonna go in blind. At that point, everyone knows, so you just have to go ahead and watch the videos, learn what's going on, and run the raid because no one's going to go, after a couple weeks, no one's gonna. It really is really a couple weeks. No one's going. Oh well, hey man, you want to go run blind? No, dude. Like, you know what you're doing. You better know what you're doing. You're not. You're
True
not getting.
story.
You're not getting pulled into the raid group. All right.
True story. So the
And
worst
then
for you.
oh yeah, the worst. I mean, obviously, Curse of Osiris is like the easiest one. Well, I'm trying to remember. You know what? Actually, the one of the newer ones, because it turned me off so hard I didn't even try it, was the Season of the Deep. I was
That's
straight up
interesting.
uninterested in that one. Like because I was remember in the original when you're screwing around on it's not Neptune. That's Neomuna.
Titan?
That's a bit of yeah on Titan. Yeah, you see the worm. You see Oryx's worm like in the water, or sorry, not in the water, in the methane. I think it's methane, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh wow, it's really cool. And you get the season of deep, and it was just like, oh, the worm regrets its actions, and we're going underwater. I was like, this really isn't that interesting. I mean,
No,
like,
I gotta,
I
I gotta
never really
correct you on
played it.
that now.
You
Hold
know?
on now, hold
Okay,
on. So
okay, all right, let's see it.
I gotta defend the deep. So my love
Okay,
for the deep comes from back when season of arrivals, I believe, when the darkness was taking the planets. I thought
yeah,
as far as build up and
yeah. The lore was
anxiety, that
cool,
was
right?
that
That
yeah,
was cool.
to watch and see how, these planets were being taken. I said if you're gonna eliminate content, damn, they did a really
Do it
good
in a cool,
story
yeah,
behind
do it
it
in a
to do
cool
it.
way, right? Remember they
Right.
had Sloane.
Sloan,
She in the
she
lore. She gets in
stayed.
the armor.
Yeah.
That's right. She stayed. She gets in the armor, and then you know what happens? Season starts. She's not wearing the armor. She's just taken. Bro, I had that armor set years ago. You gonna try and pretend it's something special now? We were already taken all the way back in the Taken King, because running strikes and the Taken gear and the Taken guns. You're not special, Sloane. Where's your cool armor that was like
Oh boy.
jamming its way into your like body? Because it's like there you go. See, I'm talking about why I hate it. Right?
I
It's like,
get
what
you.
happened?
So
Right?
so
Where'd the lore go?
we're coming back. I was already excited because I said, "Oh, Sloan, what happened to her all this time?" I was excited from a story standpoint. Actually, playing Season of the Deep, it had like a water mechanic. You went underwater. You
That's
had
right.
these bubbles you had to
The bubble
breathe.
mechanic. Uh huh.
Right. That was it was different. But I thought the worm. So what you're saying about the worm, if I remember correctly, it's a little different. The worm was actually one of the worms that got left behind. So when
Okay.
I believe it was one of the great worms or something, one of the god
Yeah.
worms, and
Yeah,
it's
because
just
we
the one
killed one
that
on
got away.
Mars.
Yeah,
That's
it's the
that was
one
in
that
more
got
mine. Yeah.
away, and that's where it was hiding out on Titan.
Okay.
But I
That
would
wasn't Oryx's worm.
no, no, I
Okay.
don't think
Okay.
it
Because
was.
that was
Now
the speculation before it. Okay. All right.
yeah, we might need to get a lore master in here, but I don't think it was. My point with that was I thought that season was average. I get you. If you thought it was terrible, I give it to you, but I thought that season was just average. So that to me, I mean, don't,
Also, the gear
Curse of
was ugly as
Osiris.
sin. Okay. All
Yes, it
right.
was. I agree with you there.
It well,
Yes, it
okay, and
was.
Curse of Osiris also had some. It just had some ugly ass reskins, and the guns were all reskinned, and the gear was all reskinned from literally like D2 launch gear. And you're going, guys, you made some money. Just hire the artists and make something that's not complete garbage. It was reskins
We're
anyway. Yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna
Again,
get into
that's
that
that. Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
so that's best of worst of. We put it out there. I think it's like I said, it's not a coincidence that all of our best of it falls within one DLC. Right? That's
Back when we were still all
kind of
hopeful, we're
crazy.
like, "Oh wow, Forsaken's great! Oh
Yep.
my God! Oh look at this! Oh," and then it just, it's hit and miss over there, right? But now we're
Yep.
gonna get into the decline.
Yeah.